The address was in an area rumored to have a haunted cemetery. She didn't respond. "Follow me," she whispered. "Go closer," she urged. A cold wave washed over me. You are her?" "I was murdered. My fiancé," she breathed. "Give him what he deserves." It was 3 a.m., the witching hour for both restless souls and desperate Uber drivers like me. My usual Friday night crew of bar hoppers had thinned out, leaving just me and the hum of the wipers for company. Then, a ping. A beacon in the storm. The address was on the outskirts of town, in an area rumored to have a haunted cemetery. I hesitated, a prickle of unease crawling up my spine. But bills don't pay themselves, and besides, who gets scared of a cemetery in a beat-up Toyota Corolla? The woman who requested the ride stood shrouded under a skeletal oak, its branches clawing at the stormy sky. She materialized out of the downpour, an ethereal figure in a white dress that clung to her like a shroud. Her face, pale as moonlight, was obscured by a veil. In the dim glow of the streetlight, I could only make out the dark hollows of her eyes. "Are you David?" she rasped, her voice like dry leaves rustling in the wind. "Yeah," I stammered, my usual greeting dying in my throat. "Hop in." As she entered the car, a wave of icy air swept in with her. The air conditioner wasn't even on. I glanced in the rearview mirror, expecting to see her settle in, but the back seat was empty. My heart hammered against my ribs. A prank? A bad joke? I fumbled for the lock button, panic tightening my chest. Then, a faint whisper, almost inaudible over the rain. "Please drive." Fear turned my limbs to lead, but the desperation in her voice, a plea cut with a chilling urgency, spurred me on. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, and peeled away from the curb. "Where to?" I managed, my voice hoarse. She didn't respond. The silence stretched, broken only by the relentless rain and my ragged breathing. I stole another glance in the mirror. Still nothing. Had I imagined the voice? Was this some kind of elaborate hallucination? Suddenly, the car lurched forward, accelerating wildly. My foot slammed on the brake, but it had no effect. Panic welled up, a hot tide threatening to drown me. We were hurtling down a narrow road, the headlights slicing through the rain like frantic pleas. My shouts were lost in the wind. The car screeched to a halt, throwing me forward against the seatbelt. I looked up, disoriented. Through the blurred windshield, a massive iron gate loomed, the rusted bars entwined with overgrown vines. It was the entrance to the old cemetery, the one with the ghost stories. The back door swung open, a spectral hand white against the darkness beckoning me. My mind screamed at me to flee, but my body was frozen in terror. A voice, closer this time, filled the car. "David," it said, the voice dripping with sorrow. "Please come. I need your help." Driven by a morbid curiosity and a strange sense of obligation, I unbuckled myself and stepped out. The cemetery was an overgrown labyrinth of crumbling headstones and skeletal trees. The woman, the veiled figure, stood before the oldest, most weathered mausoleum. "Follow me," she whispered, her form barely a shimmer in the darkness. I stumbled after her, the uneven ground sucking at my shoes. The air grew thick and cloying, the earthy scent of damp soil overwhelming. Finally, we reached the mausoleum. It was a monstrosity of black marble, its doors cracked and half open. "Open the door," she pleaded, her voice trembling. My hand shook as I reached for the cold, clammy handle. With a heavy groan, the doors swung open, revealing a chamber shrouded in dust and darkness. A faint, ethereal glow emanated from a coffin in the back. "Go closer," she urged. Hesitantly, I stepped forward. The closer I got, the brighter the glow became. It pulsed faintly, an otherworldly heartbeat. Curiosity gnawed at my fear. I leaned down and peered into the coffin. Inside, a young woman lay in pristine white, except for a single dark stain blooming on her chest. Her eyes, wide open and unseeing, stared blankly at the ceiling. Her face, an uncanny replica of the veiled woman, held a look of serene terror. A cold wave washed over me, the stench of decay assaulting my senses. I stumbled back, gasping. You're her?" The words tumbled out, the horror dawning on me. The figure tilted its head, the veil finally floating away to reveal the same beautiful, lifeless face as the woman in the coffin. Yes, a scream, strangled and raw, ripped from my throat, but there was no one to hear it, except for the ethereal woman before me. "I was murdered," she continued, her voice a chilling whisper. "Buried alive, left to suffocate in the darkness." The image of the dark stain on her pristine dress morphed into a terrifying vision. A hand, reaching up from the grave, clawing at the unforgiving earth. Tears streamed down my face, hot against the cold night air. "Who?" I couldn't even finish the question. "My fiancé," she breathed, her voice filled with a chilling emptiness. "He needed the inheritance. He thought I wouldn't be missed." A sob escaped my lips. But the police, they believed his lies. No one ever suspected him. She stepped closer, her form shimmering, the glow from the coffin intensifying. "He lives a happy life now. A wife, children." Her voice trailed off, a bitter laugh escaping her lips. "But I haven't been forgotten, David." Her eyes, once blank, seemed to lock with mine, filled with a terrible hunger. "And he shouldn't be either." Panic surged through me. What did she mean? What did she want from me? "I need you to help me," she said, her voice filling my head, a seductive whisper. "Give him what he deserves." The weight of her words settled on me like a suffocating shroud. My mind wrestled between terror and a newfound empathy for this tragic soul. Then, a horrible thought struck me. The car. I stammered. The way it drove itself? A sly smile played on her pale lips. "A little trick, to get you here." Her words confirmed my worst fear. I was trapped. "You can help me, David," she continued, her voice a chilling promise. "And finally, I can rest." My gaze darted around the mausoleum, searching for an escape route, but there was none. She had me right where she wanted me. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the chamber. A shaft of light pierced the darkness, illuminating a crumbling section of the mausoleum wall. The woman's smile faltered. Her eyes flicked towards the crack, a flicker of fear replacing the vengeful hunger. Then, with a roar, the wall gave way. A torrent of rain, along with a gust of wind, slammed into the chamber. The spectral woman cried out, a sound of pure terror. The glow from the coffin flickered and died. Her form wavered, becoming insubstantial before dissolving altogether. I stumbled back, shielding my eyes as a piece of debris smacked against my arm. The storm raged on, tearing into the mausoleum. Disoriented and battered, I finally made my way back to the road. The rain had eased slightly, revealing streaks of pale light on the horizon. My car stood abandoned by the gate, its windows smashed, the interior a mess of broken glass and soaked upholstery. Had it all been a hallucination, a fever dream brought on by exhaustion and the eerie atmosphere of the place? The wreckage of my car told a different story. I flagged down a passing motorist, a shaky wreck of a man. He gave me a ride to town, his eyes filled with concern after I mumbled a story about a carjacking gone wrong. Back at home, the sun was just starting to peek over the horizon, casting a golden light on the world outside. But the events of the night gnawed at me. Was the woman a vengeful spirit, or a figment of my fear? I had no answer. Then, a notification from the Uber app popped up on my phone. It was a single-star rating, the comment section filled with a chilling message. "Thank you, David." The blood drained from my face. My hands trembled as I hit delete, but the message lingered in my mind. A chilling reminder of the night I encountered a ghost, or something far worse, and became an unwitting pawn in a ghostly game of revenge. Thanks for watching till the end. If you want more true, real, and unexpected stories with twists like the one you just watched, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a new horror story. Thank you all. See you in the next video.